How's she going, folks? It's your host, John,
And I'm Levi.
and welcome to Oh, for Heaven's Sake.
Joining us today, a husband, a parent of 3 kids, former Montana Grizzlies football player and champion, owner of DJ Colter Agencies. Welcome to the podcast, DJ Colter. How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me, boys.
Anytime.
All right. We're going to dive into kind of the football stuff, and you kind of just add some stories along.
Relive the memories.
All right. Why did football interest you growing up?
Well, the funny story is when I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade, and I grew up in a small town, kind of like your dad did, Levi, in the middle of nowhere, in eastern Montana. So you don't have a lot of opportunities. So my dad was a superintendent principal. My mom was a teacher too. I was always around schools. When you're in a small town, there's not a lot else to do besides sports, right? So you're around both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the funny part, my dad used to always joke, is that I remember, like I said, 3rd and 4th grade, I asked my dad, do I have to play football? Because I didn't. My first love was basketball. So I wanted to do is play college basketball. So that was kind of the joke later, is that, I didn't want to play. But it was like 7th grade. Great story here is, how in small towns you have football games going on in the end zone, past the end zone. I don't know if you guys at Davies.
Oh, yeah, like halftime.
Oh, yep.
But so this in small towns, that's the thing, is when you're young, you got those games going on in the end zone, and that's what everyone lives for. So at the high school games, you're playing in the end zone, whether it's Friday night or Saturday afternoon, whatever it was. So because back then in Montana, we played hundreds of miles apart in these small towns, traveled a lot. It wasn't crazy for us to drive long ways to play a game. So it'd be like here going out to Dickinson or Minot all the time for games, right? So, or you guys maybe do that just in off season, or your preseason games. But so I got my first ever, and I remember it was probably 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade. I got my first, I call it a stick, where I just laid a kid out older than me. And I was like, that was the greatest feeling. And I'm like, well, maybe football is my sport, and that's kind of how it turned into. So from that point on, I was when junior high, I was like a quarterback, middle linebacker, and then
Middle linebacker, huh?
Later in high school, I was just a running back, middle linebacker. Now you laugh. I'm built like a running back right now, but then that's how I fell in love with it. Is I played 8-man football in high school. I don't know if you guys ever seen that small, where you kind of have to play everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen those.
All right, we're going to open the drinks. That was a little icebreaker.
Yeah, so what drink did you bring today?
Well, I brought a couple, boys, but I thought I'd start out with one of my original. When I was watching your pod, this is one of my favorite parts, because you got to get something. Sometimes I got to get a little juice in me if I'm towards the end of the day, and I got a little juice. I got a little Ghost orange cream.
Oh, that's a good one.
A Ghost.
That is a good
I'm a
one.
ghoster. I'm not afraid to admit it. Once in a while, I've always kind of been an orange dreamsicle person, so this doesn't taste bad. But I do like both those. It's funny, the Prime and the Dr. Pepper Zero.
Yep.
The Zero, those are both legit. Good calls. So cheers to a great pod.
Oh, yes, there we go.
Cheers to a great pod.
We'll air cheer that one.
Boom.
Yeah, I haven't had a Prime on the podcast yet, so I thought I'd mix it up.
Primes are good. Good call, boys. I can Dr. Pepper. That's my favorite.
Especially the zero sugar stuff.
Yep.
Whew, I don't know what
good.
they do. And the
Have
cream
you
soda.
tried the cream? I was just gonna
Yes.
say, have you tried the regular cream and the strawberry?
The strawberry one was out of this world.
Oh, you are a pepper. You're a true pepper fan. I like it.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go...
Well, here, Levi, before we go a little bit deeper, I had a couple fun questions lined up. Some very simple, easy to answer questions, but it's a get to know you type questions.
Sure.
So, first one is a classic. Favorite color?
And why?
I'm probably a turquoise. I'd say it reminds me of, now, guys, the older I get, I love going to the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
You go to an ocean. I was just on a trip to the Grand Caymans, and that was the beaches were the best I've ever been in, and the water was turquoise. It was like out of a movie. It was awesome. So probably that.
Already.
Yeah, I like that. It's like when you're in the ocean, it's nice to be able to see under you, especially if you're a little scared. You never know if there's something underneath you. But
I was scared of always like a shark coming to.
Oh, yep.
I mean, you see all these things on like you guys pull up Twitter or anything, and you're just
Twitter has everything.
yeah.
You see all these attacks where people are just swimming and the shark just shows up in these shallow waters. Ugh, don't want that action.
Now, this is a very important one. The go-to food. It's been a long day. You want to wind down with your favorite meal. Where are you going? Or what are you making?
There's options here.
Where am I going? What am I making? Well, I would have to say, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with any type of a steak. Like if a steak is seared, have you guys ever put a steak in the oven? Have you guys ever done this? Now, there's a lot of ideas that people say you should you sear it on both sides and then put it in the oven and cook it. There's the other side where you put it in the oven like at 175 for like 20 minutes. So it's just barely, but it's cooked a little more on the inside, so it's not so raw. And then you just sear it. You get. So I have a Blackstone down at the lake.
Hey,
I make a lot of breakfast burritos. My girls love breakfast burritos. So I make the sausage, egg. I mean, that's kind of what I'm known for. The lake, all the neighbors come down and try to have a breakfast burrito. But if you sear, I like to cook a steak in the oven and then sear it in some butter. That's pretty good. Now you talk about like you're tired. Let's say you don't want to cook, right? You just want to go, just to have a go-to. Man, I'm kind of a weird one where I like chicken. Like a lot of people like bone-in wings. I'm kind of a boneless guy.
I'm a boneless guy, actually. I don't like boneless.
There's nothing wrong with a bone-in wing, but what do you think is the best bone-in wing? Because some of the places have gotten bad lately. Like sometimes Buffalo Wild Wings, it's mainly all just breading and no meat.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a good wing.
Okay.
That's a boneless wing. Where's your favorite?
I'm gonna be honest. Kind of like you wouldn't even think about it. Going to like the Hornbacher's Deli, they have some fantastic chicken.
Good point.
Actually, Hornbacher's their food is all. I 100% agree with you. Man, those delis and those grocery stores are probably some of the most underrated food, and that is fantastic. Good call. That's a good call. I'll agree with you. On
that's a good one. Not sure. I'm a boneless guy as well, so it's tough.
Yeah,
for me.
we're actually all boneless.
And there's
here.
nothing wrong with Buffalo Wild Wings. Just sometimes it gets a little too just not enough meat on them sometimes.
Yeah, I like bone-in wings though at like the lake. My dad's like grilling. He'll make some buffalo or barbecue bone-in wings. Those are always good at like lunchtime.
Hey, you know what? Something to try. You try. I don't know if you like Parmesan garlic, but the new ones at I know you're gonna be surprised this. I tried some at the Dairy Queen ones. Not bad.
Okay.
For a fast food. I'm just talking a fast food.
I actually did have that.
It's not bad.
It is.
Sometimes those they're just chicken strips aren't bad either. But anyway.
Dairy Queen go-to is chicken strips actually.
Dairy Queen's very consistent. They always have like the ice cream, which is always good. But like even their food's still, it's pretty safe to go there and get some good food.
Have you guys been to Wild Bill's? Their boneless wings? That's one to try. To encourage you if you never have. Guys, I should have brought them. If I would have known this, next time I come back on, I'm bringing you in different kinds. What's your favorite kind of wings?
My favorite kind of wings. So I'm a really big spice guy. So I love spice. I've done the Blazing Challenge just fine. No reaction.
Wow.
Because I on the daily have a ghost pepper sauce with everything I eat. So I'm a big spice guy.
Whoa, your body can handle that?
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, yeah. Oof. It may burn going in, but I don't have the problem where, when it slides out, it burns.
Yeah, I'd be Montezuma's Revenge. I eat too many of those. Got to check it out downstairs. We got to be in the bathroom sitting on the toilet a lot if you get in the bad stuff. But hey, Caribbean jerk. That's one thing I like at Buffalo.
I like Caribbean jerk.
Their Caribbean jerk is good.
Speaking of like sauces, though, one that's not good from B-Dubs is the Thai curry.
Yeah, we tried it. I
tried
it for fun.
Because we had the unlimited wings because we went there on a Monday and it just wasn't good. It was like it was
Yeah.
thick brown sauce all over. It just
Yeah.
did not taste good.
It's good to know. It's good to know. Well, if you guys find a good wing place, you got to tell me. Find a
Yeah.
good boneless place to keep me in the loop on that. I like the Hornbachers call. It's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Alrighty. So I heard you did mention the lake, but kind of like, what is your favorite like pastime? So you're just kind of relaxing. Is it going to the lake and like boating or?
Yeah, there's certain times of the year, right? I think you're in the summertime. It's getting away. The Minnesota lakes. You guys are raised here, so you don't understand. Like I'm raised in Montana. I've lived in eastern Montana in the middle of nowhere. Then I lived in the mountains and so I've seen both sides to it. And the only thing that reminds me of some of the mountains in Montana is the lakes country out here. Northern Minnesota is just that's awesome. I just think small. It gives you that rural, laid back feel. But there's a peace to it. I don't know what it is when you're sitting around water, you guys. There's just a peace to it that just gives you a relaxation that I can't. It's hard for me to mimic. As maybe as a small business owner, I don't believe if you get this with your dad. Sometimes we just have a lot of stress, and we're going 100 miles an hour, and so to get away from, especially to just get away from everything is healthy, and just to kind of chill out. But that's the summertime. I love to get away and be outdoors in the fall, whether it's at a game, a sporting event, any sporting event in the fall, any walking. Like I love to hunt and get away from that. Do a little more fishing probably in the summer than I do any other time. But that's kind of like just getting. I love the outdoors. I love going to concerts. You guys have ever been to outdoor concerts? Some of the best venues. I've been to some of those. The Red Rocks. I put one on your bucket list, boys. The Gorge at George Washington.
Whoa.
Just west. It's in between Seattle and Spokane, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. You come out, you drive in, and it's just you're over this scenic view. If you guys get a chance, Google it. You can see the gorge at George Washington and some of the views you get from it. But I've seen ZZ Top, George Thorogood back in the day was a great show. Dave Matthews Band. Seen some great shows at that venue. So outdoor, I love music. I love going to concerts. I kind of like all genres of music, so anytime I can go to outdoor concerts and indoor concerts, that's a kind of a pastime of mine.
Yeah, so I'm not a huge concert guy, but like honestly, driving in the lake is pretty peaceful to me because like when you're driving, it's kind of hilly almost towards like our lake, and you see all like the trees and the different colors. It's pretty calming. And also, I like ice fishing personally. But back to the music thing. If you go to any concert, person's dead or alive, you can choose.
Dead or alive.
Who would it be and why?
Bringing out Bon Jovi over there.
I've been to Bon Jovi. They're fantastic. I've been to Garth Brooks 4 rows back in his prime in the 90s. Was great. Like back in the day, I loved people like John Cougar Mellencamp. He was in the 80s, 90s, was fantastic. That 80s. So I was kind of an age, guys, I'm 47. So I'm in an age where like the 80s butt rock bands, like your dad likes, like those 80s bands, those, you talk about from the Bon Jovis. My favorite band of all time is AC/DC. Been to them live 6 times. They're one of the best performers. I think they have some of the best. And you go to they're touring right now in Europe. And if you pull up their stuff, you got people anywhere from 15 to 90 there. It's the most, I've never seen anything like and they're unbelievable musicians, put on a great show. So that's the old school. I always loved, when I grew up lifting weights in high school, I always would love to listen to AC/DC to the world. But, the older I get, I love good country now. Like I love Eric Church. I love, like Toby Keith, rest in peace, Toby Keith. I got to be at a cool event with American Family, you guys, where I walked down at their, it was about 3-4 years ago now, before he got sick, 4 or 5 years ago, like right around pre-COVID, I think it was, where I got to go, and it was Brett Favre. The foursome was Jack Nicklaus, Brett Favre, and Toby Keith. And to watch them, and I'm not a huge golfer, but just to be at an event like that and watch them, and then having a private deal with John Daly. I got a meet and greet with John Daly, and by the
What a
way,
guy.
he's one of the greatest. If you guys of all time follow us in any way, John Daly is the coolest cat of all time in golf, in my opinion. Just because he, you know, you hear all these people and all this fancy stuff, and that guy just drinks Diet Coke and smokes cigarettes. Right? He's a fresh air.
Yeah.
How do you not love John Daly? But that's you know. You know, concerts. Ooh, that's you, Levi. You stumped me to start off. I'm probably gonna just let your pod fans just down because I'm trying to figure out. There's so much the different genres of music that I've been to. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. Some of the best concerts I've been like Pink. It put on unbelievable. I mean, there's people that you
Unique
would be
one,
shocked that you know I was amazed at their shows. But growing up, I've been to so many country, some of the greatest country. I mean, Kid Rock put an unbelievable show
Kid
on.
Rock.
He's. You guys talk about musicians, someone that can pick up multiple instruments and play. He'd go playing the piano. He gets up and sings. I mean, but can play different instruments. No, there's just so many. I mean, Pearl Jam was one of my brothers of all time. I've got to, when I was in college, they always kick off all theirs in Missoula, Montana, where I went to school, in our stadium, outdoor stadium. Two of their guys are from Montana. So there's kind of that grunge. I kind of came out of that 80s grunge, the Green Days, that you got some of this old school that are still rolling. And then you get in the 2000s and Eminem was, you know, he was, you know, Eminem, some of his lyrics are genius, you know. But I've been through some of the old school rap of the Beastie Boys. I mean, Snoop, I love Snoop Dogg.
Yep.
I mean, some of that. So I don't know, maybe I'm a little old school, 80s, 90s, 2000s, kind of all genres guy. I didn't answer it well for you, Levi, but that's just kind of a potpourri
Hey,
of.
that was good.
I don't think that's bad to be old school, because speaking of, before you got here, me and Levi were jamming out to Eminem's new song they just dropped, Houdini.
Oh yeah, Eminem's a genius. There's some of those guys or guys and gals are just unbelievable talent, musicians, and how they put that stuff together.
Oh, for sure.
So, just on the topic of music still, so you mentioned AC/DC like when you were younger, and like lifting and stuff. So let's just picture this: you're a baseball player. You know how they have like their walk-up songs? What would your walk-up hype song be?
Probably, I mean, Back in Black or You Shook Me All Night Long, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, You Shook Me All Night Long would be, it's a go-to. I mean, Metallica Enter Sandman. I mean, that's back when you want to just play football. And I mean, have you guys ever seen that at Virginia Tech when they play Enter Sandman? Yeah, and
Yeah,
just
that'd be
how
cool.
I mean, that kicks on and it's like, it's just, but there's, if you talk about a walk up, there's many of them. You got to give me a chance to chew on that, Levi. Can I come back to that question if more and more pop in my head? I mean,
Sure.
I love my first ever CD I had, or tape back in the days. Used to pirate tape, boys. When you would get and you would copy. You'd
FBI, get
the
'em right
two
now.
FBI, and you'd hit the record. And the first one I ever got was Bon Jovi, "Slippery and Wet," and like, I mean, so some of those. That's some of that early stuff, and music. Just there's nothing that can get you feeling in the mood that you want to get into, guys. Music to your soul, whether it's to get you fired up to try to get 225, 315 uplift in some way, or you're trying to get out and play a sport, get you more hyped up, or just to go out and chill, like just to get you to relax, right? I mean, you remember music will always remind you of stuff, right? I mean, that's best memories.
Yeah, because I mean, if there's one thing, like I wouldn't even say like people would consider this to be a hype song, but Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. That song just every time just
There's nothing wrong with that.
hits.
I'm the worst because I just in my pickup, everyone has their different. Like I have XM radio because I just want to hit. I have like 10 to 20 that I'm constantly going through. That I want to hear what's playing and whatever I'm feeling or need. Music is a special thing.
So would you say you're a big like sing in the car type of person?
Oh yeah. I mean, if something's getting me rolling, I got my pickup and I love to just crank it up. And guys, get speakers in your vehicles. You got to have some sweet speakers. Like I never really like. I grew up. I didn't have much growing up. My parents were teachers, right? So we just didn't have a lot of. So I had older piece of junk vehicles, and it wasn't too long ago I got a really nice pickup that had just a sweet system in it. And oof. My buddy in high school had a '69 Chevelle, and he put and that was back then. That was in the '90s, so it was. But that was when you can get that loud music rolling. I mean, it's an awesome feeling.
Literally, kind of just speaking just about that. My dad, back in high school, he had a Chevy S10 with a big setup of Phoenix Gold amplifier, two 12-inch subs in the back that would basically shake the entire neighborhood.
Where's your dad? Where's he from?
Jamestown.
Yeah,
Yep.
Blue Jay. Just had that. The Blue Jays just rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Jamestown Main Street, nice. Like it.
Yeah, and I'm big into music too. So like in my room, I have a pretty nice sound bar in my room.
What kind of music do you like?
I'm kind of summer, big country guy because it just feels right with what it is. Wintertime, a lot of rap.
Who's your in that summer then? Who's your go-to bands or certain
Go-to, I would say I wouldn't even say he's mainstream or anything. I just heard one of his songs and it's kind of I like almost everything that he's put out. Sean Steamley is his name. Yeah.
Cool.
And he's got some really fire songs. One of his kind of his most popular one they ever released is Z71.
Yeah.
And
who's your rapper?
Rapper, I would say if there's one that I would put on, I really like NF.
Oh.
Yep. I think
my girls listen to.
Yeah, well, I like, still like you said, stuff like with rap that means deeper meanings and stuff like that.
I got 14-year-old twins, you guys, and they listen to some of our old school rap. Like, I just am shocked when
Tupac.
Yeah,
this
they
is my
pull up
second
older
for
stuff,
sure.
and I'm like, whoa, you listen to some of this older stuff? I'm surprised when we get out on the surf boat and they play their music and all the music I know. What's about yours? What's your favorite music?
See, I'm not a huge music guy, but
He
certain
listens to it in the cooler.
Well, like, if I'm mowing or something,
Yeah.
I gotta.
What do you listen to when you're mowing? What's your go-to?
I'm kind of all over the place. I like a lot of country. I do like rap as well. I feel like I'm getting more used to.
What's
to
the
rap.
best concert you guys have ever been to?
Never been to a concert.
So I've been to two concerts.
We're gonna change that.
I have been to Morgan Wallen when he was up in Grand Forks. And then
Fantastic.
I have gone to Brantley Gilbert,
Yes,
Shields
he's
Arena,
good.
yep, just
Yep, been
not
there.
too long. And I really like the Brantley Gilbert one though because the energy was fantastic in there and it was a good time because I went with a couple buddies.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to go to the Cody Johnson concert,
Yep.
but I'm just not a huge music guy.
He's not, and sometimes going things live, the right people or the venue needs to be what is a good fit for you, so I respect that. I understand sometimes what people sound live and what they sound. A great example. Who's he's got the big voice, big beard, that's famous in country right now?
Chris
I'm blanking out.
Stapleton?
Yeah. So I went to Chris Stapleton live. And just so you know, he's an amazing talent. But Chris Stapleton's a guy you'd rather just be at a bar or somewhere in like
He's not a
Nashville.
performer.
He's not a performer. That's not who you go to. That's not who you go to. So, but he's an amazing, you listen to him in his songs and you want to listen, it's fantastic with his voice.
Yep.
But he's not a performer that way.
Yeah, it sucks when that happens. I mean, like with Brantley Gilbert, he had we were like one of his first stops in, but he was kind of sick. And he was kind of one of the things he talked about is, I was thinking about canceling, but I couldn't let you guys down. Because he was like, I bet some of you guys drove from far away to get here. So he put it on, and he actually still sounded really close to how he does, even though he was technically sick. So it was a good time. And, I know we were kind of talking about, your pickup and stuff like that. One of my questions was dream car. Would you feel like you have it right now if your pickup, or is there still like
Dream car.
something that you saw in a magazine and you're like, or online and you're just like, man, that is just
So it doesn't. It's just stupid, right? You're talking like just.
It can be as much. It can be even like
Anything.
remotely not. You don't even think you'll ever get it, but like that's your dream.
Well, I think I'd love to be in a Lamborghini. You know,
Mm-hmm.
does a guy like me fit in a Lamborghini? I don't know. I mean, some of those smaller vehicles, the Vets, and some of them I've been in, I've driven some of them. Some fit like taller guys, bigger guys, but some of them don't. You know, so the older I get, guys. Now it's like when I sit in a vehicle, I want it to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But I'd go dream. I'd love to drive a Lamborghini. I
That'd
think
be
that's always been the dream. Or I've had probably, but I'd take a Corvette and Trans Am, like an older '80s. I mean, that's some of that stuff's sweet.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd feel like General Motors was having a heyday in the early 2000s. They were making SSs of everything, and
Yeah.
they were just releasing cool cars after cool cars. And then Pontiac went away, and then it all fell down.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was just not a car guy either, but I'm only football. I guess that's the only thing I ever think about or talk about. Just I went to this car show one time and I seen like just a convertible Corvette, really,
Yeah.
and I thought that would be super nice to like retire in Florida and I'm having this Corvette. I think that'd be really cool.
All right, I have to say it. Convertible's not it. You have to get a hard top. I'm not a big convertible fan. I think hard tops just look better. And
Depends.
it depends, but I just think having a soft top, especially considering the additional maintenance that comes with that, and it's true, you can't really daily drive a rear wheel drive sports car, but you can if you really try.
Well, I'm going to give you an analogy. Okay, I think there's a sense of freedom. Like when I drive my pontoon. When I drive my pontoon, there's a freedom to maybe like when you'd have not a hard top, a convertible, just because you're out. And it's a lot safer, right, than driving on on the interstate. You can get an accident where you're on the pontoon. If you can still get accidents there, but more than likely, things are a little safer. But that's why I love being on the water and being on the pontoon. It's just that sense of freedom that you're just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, just
alone.
open it up, go full speed, but also you can kind of slow down a little bit, and enjoy the ride.
Well, hey, I got my motorcycle license here, so
Whoa,
might be getting a sport bike down the road.
nice.
Just depends what goes on. My grandpa is also talking about some things with me, so we have to figure out what we're saving for.
Yeah. We're gonna go back to kind of the linear style. We're gonna do like kind of growing up and on now.
Okay.
Back to football. How was football growing up in high school, and why Montana? Why did you commit to Montana?
Well, I grew up, we had a family farm that my dad was involved with, but my parents are both teachers in education. I was trying to figure out, once I realized later that football could give me an opportunity, and I was a tweener kid, you guys. So I was like, do I go? Ironically, a lot of the biggest schools that recruited me the hardest was like, back then, it was Concordia, Jamestown, Mary, Dickinson, to play multiple sports, whether it's basketball, football, and track. So that was kind of a big deal back then, that you could have that, go to a small school and play multiple sports if you loved all that. The dream going up in Montana was, just like here, a kid in North Dakota's, North Dakota State, maybe UND. But in Montana, it was Montana State, because it's a huge rivalry. Like it's, known as is the biggest, it's the greatest thing in the fall, the weekend before Thanksgiving, to see the Cat Grizz game. It was always kind of like your dream as a kid is to play in that. Any kid that's football, basketball, whatever it is, to play for Montana State. You got to remember we don't have any professional teams around. We're 8 hours away from Denver. You go the western side of the state, you can get to Seattle. You got Denver south of Billings. Over here, it's closest. You're in eastern Montana. You're 8 to 10 hours away from getting to Minneapolis. So you have, in Montana, you grow up this potpourri of, you're talking professional sports. You got Seahawks, Broncos, and then it's Vikes, Packers, right, on the eastern. So the Montana State are known as the professional teams. That's why they have such big support, and 25,000 go to those games consistently, even when they're not good, because that is the professional sport. That's what people care about and pay attention to. So when you ask why I went there, last minute, to be blunt honest with you, is that I was kind of a tweener. I was a half scholarship guy, and then the Grizz had just played in the semis, and this is before all this. You guys, the recruiting world was not. I thought they quit recruiting me. They showed up. This is kind of a cool story. They showed up at my school. I remember my dad calling me down to the office. I was in math class, so this was like January, like middle to the end of January. Signing days around the beginning of February, right? Mm-hmm. So they showed up. I hadn't heard from them, but they did well in the playoffs, and I had a great season. I was kind of either do I go to the Bobcats, Montana State. When you're from Eastern Montana, it's a lot of the ag school. Montana State's where a lot of that's where a lot of kids go to school. Or do I go, like, do you want to be a big fish in a little pond or a little fish in a big pond mindset, right? So do I go to like a Dickinson and, try to be an All-American and, be a smaller NAIA D2 with smaller stuff? Mm-hmm. Or do you go to Division I and always say, did I try it? Because I was Class C, 8-man, not knowing a lot, Eastern Montana. So they came, and I remember the D-line coach, the head coach, Don Reed, was out in the car. I walked down, they were in my dad's office, and they said, we've heard a lot about you. We're getting late to the party on this. They called me throughout the year once a week, one of their assistants, but I didn't know how serious they were. They watched them. They got my film. They went in. They were watching. They went into a room. They were watching some film. This is crazy. In the middle of this day, I'll never forget this. I just went back to class. I figured they left. They introduced myself. Hey, we're still interested. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. Mm-hmm. They went and watched some film. I got called back down. Head coach came in. They said, hey, you got a basketball game tonight. We'd love to watch your basketball game. They stayed that night. Must have played pretty well. I just moved. I was a pretty good athlete. I just moved well, right? I played running back and linebacker. So they watched that. And the next day, they called me and said, we want to fly you to Missoula. I had a game Saturday, so they flew me up on a Sunday morning from Billings, which was an hour away. Mm-hmm. And so for me to get to Missoula, you guys have to understand, Montana's like 7-8 hours away from one side of the state to the other. Like, that's how it is. So they flew me up, and that might have been the first time I've ever been on an airplane from Billings to Missoula. And the next day they offered, it was so cool. I walked in, and there was Tim Houck, who was playing in the NFL. There was Scott Gregg, was second round, started 10, 12 years for the Giants and 49ers at right tackle. And those two are sitting in a room. Well, those are like the idol. It'd be like here, like Phil Hansen, like when the guys that were NFL guys for the Bison guys over the years. That that's just the same. And when they offered me, it was no brainer because they were so successful, and so it just worked out, and that's how I ended up there. Yeah.
Interesting. Once a week for a call seems like a lot. Like when they called you or whatever once a week, you're the assistant.
That was going, and then kind of when the playoffs picked up and everything, then it just stopped. So I just figured they weren't interested in me anymore. So during the year, they that's usually how recruiting goes. Back then, it's so different now with social media.
Social media.
They have all this regulated now of when a coach can call and when they can be around. And now the big deal is they try to get you to the camps. Yeah. Back then, it wasn't. I actually went to Montana State's camp. That's what's so ironic, because once you go to one side or the other, there's no I remember when the first time I moved, I've lived out here 20 years. And when I was shocked at how people would go to a Bison football game during the day, then at night they'd go up to UND for hockey. In Montana, that's no. It's you're on one side of the fence or the other. Yeah. So it's so different mindset.
I'd say that's the one exception, I feel like, for NDSU UND. Like, it's because NDSU doesn't really have a hockey team.
Yeah, I get that. I understand. It's a little unique. I get that.
Alrighty, while he is taking a sip and refreshing his energy, let's talk about refreshing our food.
Mahana Fresh.
With Mahana Fresh. As they say, eat fresh, feel fresh, Mahana Fresh. The slogan that me and Levi so proudly came up with. Big thing is, what can I tell you? Big thing with them is that it's healthy, on-the-go, quick food. And, feeling like you're not want to bloat yourself with some McDonald's or something like that, go down to Mahana Fresh, same price. Guarantee you'll feel fuller, but you won't feel bloated.
Yeah, it's like a Subway style. You kind of go down the line, or a Chipotle type style, but with healthy food that's fresh. And
Literally cooked
it's-
same day
It's great
and
food.
throughout the day. That's the big thing. And then too as well, where we are sitting in, MPF, another fantastic sponsor of ours.
Thank you for the location.
Yep.
But yeah, obviously, if you want to, reduce some body fat, gain some muscle mass, or just maybe even want to just increase explosiveness, MPF is a great option for all ages. And I obviously heavily recommend it because I work out at MPF.
And I have worked out at MPF, and I say it's, again, a great experience. And then, last but not least, Mr. Finley on the Roof. If you, let's say, older, younger, but doesn't really matter what age. The big thing is that you get to spend more time with your family and stuff like that, because stuff like putting on the lights not only can be strenuous, takes away time,
Can be dangerous.
can be dangerous too as well. And the nice thing is about Finley is that it's extremely professional, quick, efficient, and cost affordable too. And he has done things from doing West Acres, the whole mall, or he can do houses, trees, stuff like that. He can do it all. You just have to call him. He'll come out for a quote, and then he'll put up your lights for you quick and easy.
All right.
Man, that was fantastic. I've used all three of your sponsors. They're great. Does Cooper have enough over there? Any heat for you to throw on, heat it up for you when you eat over there? Because don't you said you need to have a hot food, right? You need to have spices. We got to get something hot.
Sadly,
over
he
there
does not have anything.
We got to
hot.
work on that.
Ooh,
We got to challenge him to get you some type of special heat
Yeah,
over there. So heat it up.
exactly.
That'd be interesting.
I
That would
remember when Finley on the Roof first started, you guys.
Whoa.
You guys know he used to be when Brad has his MPF here, he had set times. So Ryan used to run the noon. We were called the Nooner Group. There was just you had to show up, and the best part about Ryan is Ryan Finley of Finley on the Roof is so he was running. He used to work for Brad here at MPF, and so that's when he started the lights. I remember when he would start hanging lights just part time, and then it took off into
I know.
an awesome deal. So that's a really cool story. I know you had him on. He's a great success story with that. But but the best deal was Ryan would have, and we had a basketball hoop. So the warm up for MPF is we'd play lightning, and it would get
Whoa, that's
intense. And before you know it, Brad would get in there and get ticked off at us because it got intense. We just kept playing over. And it was guys, girls, everyone, because everyone can play lightning, right? It's not that tough. And we just pretty soon we get going, and it was like, whoa, we're halfway through MPF, and all we're doing is playing lightning. We're like kids.
Yeah, but
it's like recess.
makes
We're
it
just
fun.
it made us fun. It was great memories with Ryan leading MPF.
All right. That was a little good promo as well for Ryan. Now we're going to go best memories at Montana. Can be playing, or it could be, the college life.
Oh wait, huge partier over here. He got crunk every weekend.
Well, the neat part for me growing up in a small town was going to a big school, where there's when you go from 15 kids in my class to 15,000 students, right, on campus. So that was obviously, and then you're up in the mountains. I don't know if you guys have ever lived in the mountains, but the mountains, I remember my first week, this was before cell phones. I remember calling my parents on the dorm phone and saying, kind of feel claustrophobic because when you're enclosed around the mountains, it takes a while to get adjusted to that. Now, the cool part is I remember I took I took a fly fishing class. Because we can walk from the football stadium down to some of the best within 100 yards, some of the best fly fishing in the world. So talk about memories, whitewater rafting, fly fishing, hiking, skiing. You were 10 minutes. We used to go Friday nights. Yeah, we had to be careful because we'd be in trouble. Remember, during the season, you can't be down at the bars, right? So, and then they're trying to keep you out of trouble. Well, you're not supposed to be skiing. Well, on Friday nights, you could spend $5. They'd have a keg in the back of the bus. It would be all you could drink. You would 5 minutes up, you ride a bus up, and it would night ski. Then they'd take you back to the bar. So you'd night ski from 6 to 10. Then back to the bar. It was great. So that was the cool parts about Missoula. It's a true college town. It's fun because you could do all these outdoor stuff. And then, the best memories. My junior year, we're playing, I think it's Idaho State. And my junior year, we're playing Idaho State, and it's homecoming. And so the place is packed, 25, whatever thousand. They're driving down and possibly to beat us. And I got a one-on-one. I played defensive tackle. I played like the three technique, like the Warren Sapp. When you have that athletic three technique, I kind of played DN, D tackle, but and I got a one-on-one and beat my guy, and I forced a fumble, and we jumped on it. And to see the crowd, that's a D lineman's dream, right? To have a sack, fumble, you jump on it. That was one of the great. I will never forget turning around to the crowd like this, like. That is the greatest feeling, because it's just special. You don't get those opportunities. That was an awesome feeling for me, as an individual player. But, when you're a D lineman, D tackle, you're taking on blocks. So, everyone around you can get all the glory, and you're just a role player in a lot of ways. But those are some, I got to play you guys, playing a national championship, playing Randy Moss. Now I look back to play against Randy Moss and Marshall. And back then, Marshall, you're playing 40,000, their stadium. You're playing at their stadium for the national championship. Also, back then, they could scholarship up, and they had 85 scholarships. Where right now, when you start, you're out of playing in the FCS playoffs. Well, both years we played Marshall, my freshman and sophomore year, they should have never been eligible to play in that championship game. And they hosted it. Now, we beat them one year, we lost to them one year. Moss is the greatest player ever played. You guys, I'll never forget. It's the banquet the Thursday night before, and we're out, and a bunch of us are walking by Moss, and he's just tall, 6'3", 6'4", but like beanpole. Yeah. This is when he was, 19, 20 years old, and we're like, there's no way he's gonna beat us. No way. Our safety the next year, the safety that started for us in that game, started for Jacksonville. When you probably don't remember, they came up and beat the Broncos in the playoffs in 1997, I think it was. That it was a big upset. It was like their expansion team. They were getting going, but our safety was that good. And Moss, when he was the only person I've ever been on the field with that he looked like he was running slow, but he was the fastest human you've ever watched in your life.
He's a long strider.
It's hard to explain unless you were there to watch it, but he was such a freak. And then it turns in the NFL and he's a Hall of Famer. And honestly, maybe the best receiver of all time, right? When you look at that team I still think that 96 team is the best FCS team of all time. Now, some of these Bison teams, last year's South Dakota State team could have been there. Our 96 team was probably the best Grizz team ever. Didn't win it. We beat Oregon State, you guys, 42-10 that year. And then next year is when they had Chad Johnson, Ocho. Yep. And they beat Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl, and they were good. They were really good. And we pummeled them. We were 14-1 that year. And that they had a Chad Pennington at quarterback. Yep, they had Randy Moss at running back, or at wide receiver. Then you had Doug Chapman. You guys probably don't remember him at running back. He was 5-year NFL running back. An FCS team had that in their backfield. That's ridiculous. That's FBS teams didn't have that kind of talent most of the time. That was just ridiculous. They were so good, but they had a couple D linemen playing the NFL too. That's when Marshall was. That was back in the days of the FCS when Nevada was good, Boise State was good. There's some good, Western Kentucky. That's, of course, you guys know all these stories of back when you were probably younger and you were watching on TV, and when the Bison were playing Georgia Southern and App State. App State was so fun to play. Just that's the sad part about FCS is it doesn't have some of that like it used to. But
because the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's hard to watch.
What are your thoughts on the transfer portal?
I think the transfer portal was right, guys, in the sense that if a coach left and you got stuck in a bad situation, because it's a business, and a coach leaves, they bring in coaches, and they want their players, their guys. You don't fit their scheme and whatever they're running, or offense or defense. I think the transfer portal and the concept of that was built for that. I love the idea of the FBS kid going down to an FCS. Like,
Yeah.
I think but this whole deal of being able to move, I don't like how there's no accountability in any way. But so that's in now the days of, are you going to have a good team the next year? Who knows?
Yeah.
Like the old days,
Everything can change.
yeah,
like
it's just, you had a good kid, freshman, sophomore. Now it's like the philosophy is like for these FCS team, hey, you recruit this kid that's a stud that, you're like, are you going to play kids young? Because if they're good, are they going to leave their junior, senior year to try to go play at FBS somewhere? I think it's really sad for low, mid, major like basketball. Dave Richmond's a good buddy of mine, and just seeing, I have a lot of other friends that are coaches, how tough that is, the mid-major basketball, because, they can't, if anyone is any good, are they gone right away now? Are you ever going to be able to keep, I think that's really hard on these mid-major, but FCS football, it's interesting to see that, NDSU and South Dakota State, the Montana State, so kind of the top 4 schools that are left now, is that, how is this going to influence this level of ball? Or is it, I think NDSU has realized now that you got to get involved to keep up with it to some degree. So I think the transfer portal, if it was designed right when coaches were leaving, or maybe unique situation with injury, or, transfer down from FBS to FCS, but this being able to, or maybe you got one time, but now these kids are transferring every year to a different school.
Yeah.
I don't understand. If I was a head coach, would you take that on? You gotta now you gotta check the person and the baggage, and
Yeah. With like the transfer portal, like Eli Green, I think he's like an NFL level wide receiver, transferred from the Bison. He's now at Iowa State. It's like, of course, that's our best playmaker we have, and now it's like, I don't even know what our team's going to look like next year in terms of like weapons. And then obviously NDSU basketball, I don't even know who's going to be the starting 5 anymore. It's crazy how many people left.
That's the sad part, what I think it's done to college sports. I think the whole NIL deal and, kids making money and some of that's some neat, there's some neat things to that. But just, if you're a college kid, I was talking to Cole, was the safety for the Bison, who got opportunities, just talking to him the other day of, and it's like, if you're that kid, do you take the money and leave? Or I have a ton of respect for him to stay and play, and he's a great player. But a lot of these kids this level, they're not going to make a ton of money. So to get some money opportunities, I don't know, man. It's a whole different game than when I was playing. So I don't. It's a different animal. So I think the portal in theory could have been good, but they let it just get out of control.
Yeah. If you could replay any game, what game would it be?
That I played
that
in?
you played in. Even if you don't want to change the outcome, just like replay it and experience it again.
It'd probably be that national championship game against Marshall.
Yeah.
That was pretty special. I look back. I had no idea how good, like now, some of those players that I got to be on the field with at those games. I'm trying to think. Some of the Cat Grizz games, the Montana, I don't know if you guys can pull this up, but the 98, we should have lost. So the streak, I played in 18 years in a row, the Grizz beat the Cats. In a rivalry, that was a big deal. And my redshirt sophomore year, we should have lost to the Cats in Bozeman. They finally had beaten the streak. This would have been like 12 or 13. And my brother's senior year, my brother won a national championship too at Southern Nose Guard, but his senior year, he ended the streak. So that's I beat them 5 years in a row, and so that's always something that I'll have.
I beat them 5 years in a
row.
But
that's something that. But those Cat Grizz games are the best. That week it was hard to go to school. It was just in Montana. It is the game of the game. It's the game of what everyone pays attention to. It's what you're known, and if you make a play in the Cat Grizz, that's the deal. My senior year, I had a couple sacks in the Cat Grizz game. that's what you dream about. And the game was a blowout. It didn't matter. We beat them like 45-3 or something. But my sophomore and junior years, we both could have lost those. My roommate in college, who played 5 years in the NFL for the Falcons, he had a touchdown. It was called the Swamp Game. It was just this water everywhere, and he scored a touchdown within the last minute or two for us to beat them. That was my junior. My sophomore year, though, if you could pull it up, where they had us. It was like 40 seconds left. Their kicker kicks it out of bounds. We get the ball at the 35. Mm-hmm. We throw a bomb. Our kicker comes in, kicks it as time. I'm on the field, you guys, and I'll never forget. This might have been the greatest moment. You talked about the greatest moment ever besides winning that national championship. And to look out, and I see my buddies from my Eastern Montana buddies in the Bobcats section going up when we kick that field goal through. They're jumping around, and you just, on national TV, you see this guy just giving the double birds, just the double birds. And it was on TV, and it's the Cat fan just in it. I looked over my buddies. We all knew each other playing for the Cats, and they had us beat. And I will never forget being on the field. I was a tight end on that field goal team as a sophomore. And when we put that sucker through, those are great memories. I mean, I look back in college, the little things you just forget because I played so much of, I had a 2-point conversion my redshirt freshman year. I was a tight end. We had we had a blotched extra point, and I got some points there. You look at those things; those are the best. But winning, it's funny, you guys. You look back now, your memories when you play sports. We go back, we got inducted in the Hall of Fame, our '95 national championship team, and it doesn't matter if you were the NFL guy that played all the years in the NFL, or you were a practice player that never played. Everyone's treated the same. Everyone respects everyone. They're proud of it. Your role on the team. That's why you look back now, you thought it was such a big deal and so important that you did this or did that. No, none of it matters. It's how you treat people. What kind of person were you? What kind of teammate were you? That's the stuff that people remember now.
Yeah. So, moving on from football, kind of what led you to doing insurance?
The important one.
Yeah. Well, out of school, I didn't know what I want to do. I got a teaching degree. I taught and coached in a suburb of Portland, Oregon, which is Vancouver, Washington. It's across the river. But for 3 years, in my second year, I was like, man, I just knew I wasn't going to be a good fit. As teaching, I needed to either go be a principal or athletic director or something. I thought, well, I was dating my wife now. She was from Bismarck. We were both, back then, the fastest growing school district in the nation was Las Vegas and Vancouver. Portland, Oregon this is around 2000. It was fast growing. So where did they come to career fairs? They came to, the lowest paying school teachers are North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming. So they would come out to our career fairs and hire all the young teachers. So that's what they did. So there was a bunch of us from the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming. We all taught school there, and we were this young group ran around. So I met my wife. I was out pheasant hunting with my future territory manager. I said, I wish I had a job that the harder I worked, the more it bugged me that the guy down the hallway was just terrible attitude, made twice as much money than me, hated it. I just didn't want to be like that someday. It pushed me away. And there's great people in education. I'd encourage anyone to go be a teacher and coach. It's the greatest thing you can do. But I just want to do something. So we took a job. I moved out here in the August of 2003, got married in Bismarck on the way, moved out here afterwards, got an apartment. And I was supposed to be here a couple years into moving American Family. Took a job within a territory manager of American Family Insurance. We were supposed to be here a couple years, and they were going into Montana. And so I was going to go to Montana, be a territory rep, hire people, just move up in kind of in that corporate ladder role, you would say.
Yeah.
Fast forward 20 years later, I'm going to be 21. I'm here. Been doing this now where I just got into insurance. And the thing about insurance, you guys, all you are is a counselor. And I probably thought about being a school counselor. And all I do is I would tell everyone when I sit down with them, I'm like, can I just teach this stuff to you like I would a sixth? I used to be a sixth grade math social studies teacher, coach.
Huh.
Can I just teach this to you really simple? Because you read a policy and it's a bunch of lawyer jargon, right? And wording, how a contract works. So insurance is just simply, it's just if us three had a hat right now, we passed it around, we wanted to share our assets, how much money do we throw in? And is it enough to get us through it, whether it's our cars, our homes, or whatever it is that we want to protect, right? Our toys. So that's the same concept of what insurance is. So once you make it simple to people and try to just educate, I'm a terrible salesman, to be honest with you. I'm not really good. I just try to teach people what's important, because I've seen claims being paid out now 20 years, like what you actually pay insurance for. So I've seen how it can really help people when bad things happen. And that's the best part about my career now, is that I can help people when bad things happen. And, you know, whether that's, and now I have employees, and you don't realize that, you know, you have families that expect you to take care of them, you know, to help their life. And so, I would have never guessed how we ended up. I have, you know, numerous locations now in a region and numerous staff. And I never thought, when I started, I would have never guessed it is now. Never guessed how it turned out.
It's the crazy part about life. You never know what's going to happen. What's your day look like as a business?
That's a great question.
He wakes up, has his Cheerios, and just stomps
a nice
out
coffee.
the door.
I actually come to this place, to MPF, and have B-Rad yell at me all morning, get me rolling for the day. And no, I think my day, that's the best part about my job. It's never the same. So what's a typical day look like? Well, I could never tell you what a typical day looks like, because nothing's ever typical. So, because the nice part about being an insurance agency owner is that whether I'm, you know, 1 minute my hat's on and I'm taking care of someone in like a service situation, or I'm trying to help them, or I'm dealing with a billing, or I'm doing a review with people's stuff to try to see they have the coverages and the deductible, wherever they need to keep their premiums where they want to be to make it as cost effective. You know, we was trying to find, you know, what's the most, you know, cost effective solutions for people, right, to help protect their assets and liability. So you're 1 minute I might be in sales, next minute I'm in service, the next minute I'm in advice. You're kind of a true counselor, because you try to help people get through. And I focus on 5 main things. Our agency's on auto, home, business, farm, and life. Those are the 5. People sell a lot of other insurance for financial services. I don't. I'm not into trying to be a jack. We try to be really good at those 5 things with the products and companies and services, because I do more than just American Family too. I have a lot of other companies we represent, because American Family has a brokerage house, and there's a lot of times that AmFam's a good fit. There's other times there's other carriers we work with are a good fit. The Progressives and different people in the world, we have a lot of business. We help people through those. So that's kind of nice too, because you get to know other companies and how they operate and what's a good fit for certain situations for people. So, so that's probably my typical day, is all over the place. And what's also hard for people to understand is that I'm usually busier later in the day, because people don't, you know, bad things might happen and I got to help them all the time. Like, I don't know if I ever really have a day off. I'm 24/7 in the sense that there's a lot of times when nothing will happen in a day. There's other times on the weekends or nights. That's what people pay me to do, is to take care of them, right? Make sure they have the coverage they need. So that's a good part about my job. I actually thrive and enjoy that. That doesn't bother me working. Yeah. But I grew up working, you know, my parents made me start in 7th grade, start paying for half my school clothes, and I was going to pay for half my vehicle. And so I always had to work like from 7th grade on to pay for stuff. So it's just kind of a mindset, I guess.
It just keeps you on your toes and keeps the day unique. I think that's kind of fun, and kind of keeps it interesting in a way. All right, we're going to go into our segments. We each have 2 segments each week. They're the same ones. I have Today in History and Celebrity Birthdays, and John has
Food of the Week, Quote of the Week.
Nice.
You know, I'm the person of the week.
I like it.
And, you know, I might as well get into this Food of the Week. You know, beef and macaroni hot dish is my food of the week. You know,
Whoa.
is that something you've enjoyed?
Do you
before?
do you like a nice hot dish in general?
Well, you lived in the Midwest. No,
I know.
of course. How do you not?
All these foods are
It's a
Midwestern.
But I grew
themed.
up. My mom was a big tater tot. Hot, the meat.
Yep.
You have the corn. That was all in the cream of mushroom soup. I mean, that's probably the go-to hot dish I had growing up. I don't know about you guys. What was your favorite hot dish?
Tater tot hot dish for sure. My dad makes a mean one.
Yeah, that's very, very good. I'm going to go into today in history. Got 3 of them. We're going to go kind of linear. So we're going to go from way back when to kind of somewhat similar or close by. So we got June 4th, because we post this on Tuesday, so I always do every Tuesday. June 4th, 1896, Henry Ford test drives his quadricycle, which included a small metal frame, 4 bicycle wheels, small 2-cylinder, 4-horsepower gasoline engine, which obviously eventually turned into Ford, his business.
You have a year on that? What year that was?
1896.
1896. Wow.
That was kind of interesting. Another interesting one, June 4th, 1919. Congress passes 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. A lot of 19s in there. June 4th, 1947 is the last one. Battle of Midway begins. This was after the attack on Pearl Harbor, and that's where the U.S. would beat Japan against some difficult odds in the air, which we actually just watched a movie on not that long
we
ago
did.
in school.
In 8-bush.
I'll give you guys a cool story about where my grandpa served under Patton under World War II over in Germany. He loved telling me this story about how he fell asleep one time. He was supposed to be on duty. Patton came up and kicked him in the feet. He said, "Colter, wake up." And that was always, I told him that's his claim to fame, is that he fell asleep on watch. And but I said, hey, if General George Patton, one of the famous of all time, knew your last name, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know who you were.
Exactly. Already.
I got this one.
Oh,
Quote of the week is nice to end on, so we'll go celebrity birthdays.
True.
This one's kind of not a lot of celebrities. I was taking a lot of deep dives trying to find some celebrities. We got Angelina Jolie. It's kind of like the most popular one. Marquise Brown, Chiefs wide receiver now. And then kind of an actor and comedian, somewhat on the up and up, Russell Brand. Does a lot of Despicable Me movies.
Oh,
That's some good
Despicable Me.
Yeah, some good movies there. I like Despicable Me.
Already. And then obviously, quote of the week. Truly inspirational stuff here. I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. Muhammad Ali.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's, man, have you guys ever watched some of Muhammad Ali's, like the way he could talk? He was the original crap talker.
He was the
he was
OG
the
Conor McGregor.
He was the original. Like he taught. He talked it, and he could walk. I mean, he was a bad dude, man. That dude was bad man. We got to talk with little sports, right? Is it? I mean, we can just talk before you guys wrap up.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
That JJ is signing today. I mean, that's
Justin
huge
Jefferson.
for the Vikes.
Yeah, I was driving to go lift at the school this morning, actually. And I was like getting tons of notifications. I was confused. And of course, the one time I'm not like looking at my phone or whatever is when JJ gets re-signed and
So
35
4-year
million.
deal?
4-year, 140 million. So 35
What
a
do you
year.
think? Do you think that was a good deal, guys? Do you think that
Yeah.
was?
For
I do.
keeping him for 4 years, if he can stay injury free like he did for his first couple of years, yeah.
So we got our core locked up essentially. We got McCarthy, the guy we just drafted. We got JJ, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. They're all locked up through 2027. So it's a good core to build around.
If you got a young QB, you got to give him.
Mhm.
They can get the O line around. To me, the key is now, is the O line good enough to protect him? Because then you're going to see if he's legit or not.
Plus, we re-signed Dalton Reisner.
That was
left
big.
guard, so-
Why does that take so long every year? I don't understand that because he
So-
played so well.
Actually, the main reason was if they re-signed him before the draft, I believe they might have lost a compensatory pick for the next year's draft.
Okay.
But if they waited until after this draft, it wouldn't affect the compensatory picks for the
So
future
there's
draft.
a reason.
So it would have to have been after the draft. And yeah, I'm not sure why it took so long after the draft, though. It's been what?
So
a
here's
month
my
and a half.
question to you guys, if you're a Vikes fan. When is JJ? I'm a season ticket holder. And now I've turned into a Vikes fan. Grew up a diehard 49ers fan. I know you're gonna hate that, but so I can
Really
love
fun
still
game.
I can love two teams. You guys can hate me, whatever. I still love two teams. So tell me right now, when does JJ play? Give me the first week JJ takes a snap.
I think after the bye week, I believe it's week 6.
That's when he's
I
playing.
think it'll be week 7 because it's kind of a gauntlet to start the year for the Vikings, if I remember.
Yeah.
So I think if we start,
I think
I don't
Sam's a solid starter. He's a start. I mean, if he can stay, even if he can stay healthy to be your backup, that's not a bad backup.
yeah, that's a really good backup. I mean, he could be a good starter because it's a good system for him, and he's got obviously superstars around him, so that'll help. But
Would you rather the Vikes sneak into the somehow surprise? They're supposed to finish last in their league, or if they can somehow get 9-7, sneak in the playoffs, and JJ doesn't play, or would you rather be 4-12 and see that JJ, you think he can be good? What would you rather have?
see, the one intriguing thing about like 4-12 is obviously you get a really high pick, and
Yep.
you could draft. There's some true talent in this next year's draft. I mean, not quite as crazy as this year, but there's maybe even a wide receiver, get another receiver. And then you have like a triple threat at wide receiver. You got a superstar tight end and running back. That'd be interesting. So you're thinking McCarthy, like he shows a lot of potential.
Well, that's what I'm just saying. What would you rather have? Because to me, the Vikes need a legit QB.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can say whatever you want about the Brock Purdy deal and the Niners, but that's what they needed, more stability. That's the only thing that hangs you in there. And so you got to have if you can build that QB round. I mean, that's why it sucks that the pack has been so good. They roll with one solid QB to the next.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's why the Bears, it's all going to come down to what's his case can play it all, because they have the defense and the talent around him. But if he can't play, Caleb Williams falls apart. His pink outfits, then there's nothing they can do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is the Lions legit? The Lions are favored to win that division, right?
They're a good team, solid all around.
I mean, how do you not like the coach? I mean,
He's fun.
I mean, no one wants that, but they've built that right. I've been impressed with the Lions have done the last few years.
A long time coming for him.
Yeah, it's been terrible for a long time.
I like the idea of 4-12, honestly. If he
Same.
shows a lot of potential, and then you get a high pick, and maybe our interior offensive line struggling, and maybe we need to draft another offensive lineman, or maybe we need like a superstar D lineman, cornerback. We could draft the best one available. So I think that would definitely be intriguing.
You guys both seniors this year?
Yep.
Yes.
Going to be seniors. What are you looking most forward to being seniors in high school this year?
Picking on freshmen. In football.
Bro
What's it gonna be
thinks
like
he's in a
walking in?
movie.
Yeah.
So what's it going to be like walking the first day of school next year as seniors? Like, have you thought about that?
Probably just another day.
And another day, another
But
dollar.
it's not going to be. It's your last year, man. It's going to be different, guys. Have you thought about that?
Get the senioritis.
I mean, know what the difference would be really.
I know a big thing is I'll be taking less like crazy classes, more just kind of fun classes now. So kind of get to enjoy one year. I won't be like as loaded. Because I mean, I technically, if we really count it, I technically now have enough credits to graduate already.
Oh,
Because I took
genius.
eight credits,
sitting
eight
next to a
credits, and
genius.
6. So
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
a lot
awesome.
of work. So yeah, I'm taking like some fun like.
There's got to be something you're looking forward to as seniors, though. I mean, the most thing you were looking forward to?
Senior prank? No. I don't really know necessarily.
Something to chew on. Next time I come
Yeah,
back on here, I'm going to ask you that question. Got to have me on before the end of your senior year. See if we're going to reflect on that.
We'll
question.
see. I'm a big worker, so I spend a decent amount of time at work outside of
Good.
school. So
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Work ethic will help you in life.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Being a salesman will help you
Yeah.
in life. Good people skills.
Yeah.
Do you got any questions for us you'd like to ask? Anyone's left?
So
Anyone's left in
question
the
for the pod. Like, the pod is like, what made you guys? I have a lot of respect for you too, because it's hard to do this. Like, What made you just be like, you know what? We're doing this. I've always dreamt about this. I want to do it. What made you do it?
I got the start here.
You're starting. Okay.
Okay, so we originally had another podcast. We started in 6th grade, and
Really?
we did not have any like quality like mics or anything. We obviously didn't have much money.
This is sweet, you guys.
Yeah, because
This is a sweet setup.
back then we had a Yeti mic,
Singular Yeti mic in the middle.
a rankety dinkety $40 Walmart table, 2 fold out metal chairs, and
Yeah, these couches are way nicer than that. Thank you.
this
We're
couch
moving on
right
up.
here supplied by Mr. Ryan Finley.
That was
Nice.
one of her
Finley on the
sponsorship
Roof.
deals.
Yeah, it was one of our sponsorship deals.
Thanks
Free
for
couch.
contributing, Ryan. I like it.
And
Comfy.
so I mean, I remember the first podcast, like the quality, especially video wise, was horrible. We already switched it around the second podcast, but yeah, the audio in the first, because we did seasons then. Now we're just gonna kind of keep building up episodes.
Yeah.
But we did seasons that each season had 8 episodes.
So you guys started this 6 years ago?
Yeah, we-
Technically, like
5 years ago.
Yeah, we went strong for every week. We did, I would say, about like
It's probably about close to
So this
2
kind of
years.
gives you a high. Like it's like just like when you walk out after a pod, you just feel good. You like the challenge of it to get
I
people.
feel like I'm more the older I get, I feel like I'm more of a people person. I like talking to people, and I think it's a different experience. You know, we get to like talk about, you know, stories or just anything really, and I think it's just fun and different, and it's something to like.
Is it hard for you to
us
design your
busy.
content, what you want to talk about, or is that pretty natural, easy?
Not really, because I'm gonna be honest. Like the questions me and Levi came up with today maybe took us 20 minutes.
Yes.
To structure what we kind of wanted to talk about
And
today.
even if we're struggling, I mean, we can ask people like if they have any like just fun questions they want us to talk about on the podcast or something. Like people can email
What's your
us or
favorite
something.
pod? Like, what's your favorite that you guys listen to? Like, what do you want to? Is there something you want to just like, you know, be like or?
There's one
There's
Midwestern
one very
podcast.
specifically one that we're like very much inspired
What was
by.
it?
It would be You Betcha Radio podcast.
I just
Really?
Yep.
trying to catch him.
You guys
that would
need
be
to get
that'd
him
be
on?
a dream. That would be
It'd
very
be awesome. I
interesting.
know you
See if I
said
can
that.
He used to be an intern here
Yep.
Yeah.
for MPF, so I think there's potential connections that we could maybe tap into.
Yeah, that's the big thing. In our first one, we just we didn't take advantage of any guests or anything. It was just us. We had, I think, throughout like the many episodes, like 60 plus episodes, we maybe throughout all of them had 5 guests.
Yeah.
Really only one notable one. We had Cooper Wallow on all the way back then, and as a call-in. We had my phone pointed directly towards the Yeti mic as a call-in, and yeah. But now having this space is a big one, and then obviously having some money to be able to do it. But obviously, we want to continue to grow.
It's a different experience having people in person.
Yeah.
Kind of brings out a different side of somebody, and I don't know. I just podcast is something that's always kind of wanted to.
That's really
upgrade
cool.
on because obviously we originally didn't really have much money, so just randomly I kind of talked to John and I wanted to start a podcast up again, but take it really seriously this time. So we each put a lot of money into this, so it's been pretty fun.
Entrepreneurs, I like it, guys. That takes a lot of guts to put yourself out there, and you know, what do you have to lose?
Yeah,
Exactly.
What's the
We're
worst
just having
thing
fun
what's
with
going
it,
to
you
happen?
know,
Have
see
fun
what
with it,
happens.
see what goes. I'll try to help you get some guys. You come to me and I'll try to get you connected. There's some amazing guests. I just got asked by Fargo Inc. to help them with just doing some interviews of people in town that have great stories to tell. So there's neat people out there that have fantastic stories to tell.
We should low-key get business cards that we can hand you that you can
Yo.
hand
Yeah,
out
that'd be
for.
really cool.
Because
I'll
that's
try
the
to
big
help
thing.
you.
We want guests. Like I'd say if there's anything that we want to continue going forward is continue to basically, if we can, have guests on every time.
What kind of guests you looking for? What's your,
Everyone. I mean, because we did Finley,
So
we
we
did
did like
his
a-
dad.
We
You
did a
know,
sponsorship series. We had all 3 of our sponsors back to back to back,
just smart.
and then because people like series, I think it's more intriguing for people like keep watching and like, oh, let's listen to the next story and how
Yep.
they became a
Yeah, you
business owner.
Yeah.
But like sports people, I mean, it can be anything. I mean,
We can develop questions for anybody.
Yeah, we
Trust.
got
The cool part between your three main sponsors, and hopefully I get a chance to help you out, is that your three main sponsors are really connected to a lot of people, and there's a lot of business owners. I mean, just MPF is a lot of successful business owners that work out here. And Ryan, I mean, he hangs Finley on the Roof, hangs for successful people in a lot of roles, and then Cooper's connected with his connections.
And he's used to play at NDSU for football, so
he's a good player. Yeah, fun to watch him. He's a good guy to visit with. Yeah, you got some great sponsors and you've had some great guests. I like listening to your pod. The cracking of the. I didn't even get in my second one. I'll save this for the next time I come. I'll just
There
put
we
it
go.
in the fridge.
I'll be the one to have
Or
it.
you have it.
I'm a big energy drink guy.
I'm bringing this. If you guys are having a tough one, I just want in memory of me. Just
Yes,
to pop
there we go.
that. That was my second favorite one besides the Ghost Orange Cream, as I'm kind of a Swedish Fish guy. So that one's good too.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
Alrighty. Well, sadly, folks, we have reached the end. It was great getting to, hear all the stuff, football days, even just, diving a little bit into, music was a big one. I didn't expect we'd go on for music for that long, but that was really fun to talk about too.
But unfortunately, the road has come to an end. Maybe eventually we'll get you on again, but
I'd love to. I'll work on trying to get you some good guests, guys. I'll try to help you out.
There we go.
thank you. All right. Well, want to say it together?
Yes.
All right. Make sure you keep
Between the ditches.